everybody, welcome to my little paintbrush. My name is Miss Cami. We are celebrating Easter at our studio right now, and what better way than to paint this Easter gnome. So before we start, I want to remind you that you can pause, rewind, fast forward this video. So a lot of times people say we paint too fast, so you're not alone if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with the pace. And it is okay to not be rushed, and it's okay to pause. It's okay to take your time. This should be enjoyable. So if you feel stressed and overwhelmed by it, you need to slow down a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's dive right into our gnome. I'm going to grab a good size flat. I would say this is a medium, but if you're a smaller artist, this is probably your large flat. Okay. Let's go ahead and put some water on that brush, loosen up our bristles, get ready for our paint. And here's our fun, colorful palette today. First thing I'm going to do is scoop up some white. We're going to be using a ton of white today. I'm going to come over to my peachy skin tone color, mix that white in there, and I'm going to come and I'm going to do this cute nose right here. We've got this super colorful painting to do today with a lot of circular things. So if you are feeling like you are going around and around a lot today, you are. And the biggest tip when we have something with lots of circles is to be kind to yourself, because circles can be tricky and we can just get stuck on them forever because we want them to be perfect. So we need to know when to allow our painting to look hand painted. So I've moved from the nose to the hands here. And these cute little hands are obviously our gnome's beard is taking over. And so these cute little hands are peeking through his beard to come out. Okay, now before I just jump into the next step, I'm going to put some white on one corner of my brush like this, and I'm going to go back to the nose and I'm going to give it a nice highlight. Okay, highlights are so important. They brighten up our painting, they draw the attention of the eye to different things, and those are all super important. It also helps our painting not to look too flat. Okay, awesome. There we go. We've got the nose and the hands all finished. I'm washing my brush again. Really swish. You can hear that swish. We need to have a good swish. Okay, so let's move on to everything that we want to be pink on our canvas. So you can change this up. This is your painting. You're the artist. So you can do this how you would like, but for me, the pink is going to go inside of my bunny ears, and it's going to be this egg right here. So I'm going to get a generous scoop of white and mix this white with half of my pink. Okay, only half, not the whole pile. And I have this nice light pink. I might even lighten it a little bit more because our paint will dry darker on the canvas. So when I have that nice shade of pink, I'm going to come up to my ears and I'm going to fill that inner bunny ear in. And this is just so fun to have all these colors happening on one canvas. And it was really fun to create. So I hope you have a good time painting it as well. Okay, now we're going to come to the egg that I decided would be pink. Again, this might be different for you. And I'm going to fill in this egg. Being careful around my little gnome hands because they probably are still wet, and I don't want to mess that up. Okay, Fabulous. Now, before we move on, we're going to just knock out a good shadow on the edge of the ear and the egg. So to do that, I kind of wipe most of that pink out, and then I put a corner of that darker pink on my brush. And then I just take that edge, and you see I just kind of brush it right along the inner edge of my ear. Okay, I like to brush over it a few times so it's not this really prominent bright pink. I like to blend it in a bit. So I'll go through it a few times to make sure that it's soft enough for my liking. Okay. See there, we're just coming along. Here we go. Let's do the same thing to the egg. Of course, with the egg, we have to go all the way around. So again, this is when those circles really start to cause you a bit of a headache, but stick with it. Press your bristles, fan out your brush. Okay. If you go outside of the sort of line that's on your canvas, if you've purchased our kit, this will be sketched out for you, or maybe you printed off our pattern. If you go outside of that a little bit, don't let that get to you. Like, that's totally fine, okay? All right, so I'm gonna wash that out. Again, you can just hear me swishing my brush around. When we're using so many colors, we want to be careful, okay, not to contaminate those colors. Okay, now I'm going to pick anything on my canvas that I want to be the turquoise. Okay, so for me, that's going to be my shoes down here and this center egg. So again, I'm going to get a nice scoop of white, mix some of my turquoise with it, not all of it. Okay, we want to keep some of that dark left. And then I'm going to come over to my egg and I'm going to fill in my turquoise egg. Okay, this one is pretty hidden. It's got these other two eggs in front of it, but nonetheless still important. Okay, and then I'm going to come down to my shoes, which just barely peek on this canvas. They just make a very short appearance here. But I'm going to come through, and this is a great time to wrap your canvas and carry this turquoise around the bottom of your canvas. It's a good time to do that. Okay, now same thing, corner in the darker turquoise. And let's go around our egg here. You can tell immediately how important that step is, okay? This is particularly difficult for our little artist. So if our little artists are just feeling overwhelmed with any kind of shading, we encourage them to always try, but understand that it's a little more difficult for them. Okay, so got that in now. I'm going to kind of just mix my brush into the light turquoise again, because before I move on, I want to highlight my shoes. I'm going to put the corner of my brush in white, and I'm just going to do one on each side here. Just, again, brightening it up. Sometimes I go over it a few times, you can tell. I just like to get that nice swoop. Okay, wash it again. Look at these colors already. I'm in love. Okay, now our final egg color is purple. So I'm going to paint anything on my canvas that I want to be purple. And for me, it's the last egg and the hat. Okay, so here's my purple, big scoop of white. I might even do two because I have to do the whole hat. And then I'm going to start to mix some purple into that white. Oh, getting kind of close to my pink there. Okay, now I don't want to mix all the purple. You guys know that now, right? Want to save some of that dark purple. But let's go ahead and go into our final egg. And fill it in. Now we have a lot of things around this egg that are probably still wet. The other eggs, the hand, so slow down and be careful, okay? Now let's jump right into our hat. We've got some fun polka dots on our hat. Maybe you aren't filling the polka dots, and that's okay. You can paint right over them and you can do a different design. Okay, got this ear right here. I'm going to go ahead and put the line in for, so the ear there. And then we just go right underneath it, just like so. Okay, now depending on the shade of purple you've decided, so maybe yours is fairly dark, or maybe yours is fairly light. If your purple has a lot of white in it, it's probably going to give you a good coverage and you'll just need one. If you went for a darker purple, you're probably going to need 2 layers. So just decide for yourself where you're at with that. Purple can be pretty shy, and so sometimes you just have to work with it and put multiple layers on. Okay, so we're going to come around this dot. If you get some purple in your dots, that really isn't a big deal because we are going to be adding a bit of purple in them anyway. So don't let that ruin your night by any means. But we've got our hat filled in almost. We're going to come over here. We've got this little peak of our hat that kind of leaves the canvas at the top, then it comes back to make a final appearance. Okay, so got that in. Now you guys know what's coming next. We are going to add some dark. So I'm going to just come back to my egg. This is a great time if you want to just put another layer on real quick. Corner of the brush. Let's do it. We are going to go around our egg with this purple here. Okay, and now I believe that there would be a bit of a shadow right here being cast from the pink egg, so I'm going to put a little there, and I think I'll shadow kind of around these fingers too. I didn't do that with the pink egg. I might go back and do it. But I like just a little bit of a shadow. And again, just don't rush through it and be done really quick. Take your time and make it look the way that you want it to look. Okay, now let's dive into our hat here, and we are going to just do the same thing. We're going to come in with our purple, and we're going to start to go around our entire hat. And we're also going to put in these little, like, I would tell the kids these are little, like, rainbow shapes or sad frowny faces, because that's emotion they would be familiar with. We're just going to put those in to indicate that's where the little ears are coming through. Okay, and then we'll come around this side and come around the nose here, and of course up here where the hat comes back into focus. Okay. Now, of course, anywhere that you felt like maybe it got a little overwhelming, you can just mix that light purple back on your brush. Like, I like to take a little bit of that here. I don't want it to be too powerful. Just want the slightest little indication there. And so much of acrylics is just working the paint and working the paint and working the paint. Okay, so don't feel like going over it and over it again is a bad thing. It's not. Okay, I'm not quite done with the purple, but I need to wash my brush because next I'm going to load with my white paint. I'm still using the same brush, and I'm going to do some of the dark purple in there, and I'm going to come to my dots and the little pom-pom ball that's on the edge of my, or at the end of my cute little hat, and I'm just going to use that edge like we've been using the whole time to kind of bring that to life. And I'm going to do the same thing in these polka dots. See, this is why I was telling you, if you get some purple in your polka dots, not to worry too much because you're going to come back to them. This is what I was referring to. Now I'm going to go up the edge too, or down, however it makes sense for you, to kind of close off the hat a little bit. Okay, let's go right here. Come all the way around. So again, my brush has been loaded with white paint, and then I do a touch of the dark purple in it, and it becomes quite light purple because of the white that's on it. But I like the way that it kind of finishes off these polka dots here. Okay, so there's one right here kind of peeking. There's another one peeking right here. Make sure your brush maintains water. Anytime you get a broken stroke like this, that's a water issue. So just make sure that you're keeping your brush nice and wet as you go along. All right, last one here. And like I said, if you wanted to do a different design, you can paint right over these dots if you have our paint kit. Obviously, if you are doing this freehand at home, you can do whatever you want anyway, and you know that, but if you've purchased our paint kit and you don't want to do the polka dots, it's not a problem to just paint right over it. Wow, you guys, we are making some good progress on our painting. I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to set it aside for just a second. And I'm going to go to my detail brush, okay? And what I want to do with this detail brush is I want to put in my designs and my eggs. And I'm going to do that with white paint. Whether they're going to stay white or not doesn't matter. I need to put these colors in, or these designs in, with white first. That way when I go to add my color, it's nice and bright and it's not competing with the color of the egg. Okay, so let's start with the pink one first, which is actually going to stay white. I'm choosing white dots for this one, so I'm just going to use my detail. You can use a flat to do this. I actually typically prefer a flat when I'm doing circles or polka dots. I'm just going to do 4 large dots in this egg here. And I'm probably going to come back with another coat of white paint on here. But this is a good start. Okay, so I've got my 4 dots in there. Like I said, we can, of course, come back to it and put another layer so that they will be much brighter. But this is a good placement. Now I know where they are, okay? Now let's go to our turquoise egg. I'm going to do stripes on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of thick white stripes because these are going to be yellow, and yellow would really struggle to show up if I tried to put it right over this turquoise. Okay, so there's one, and then I'm going to do another one. It's going to just barely show because it's going to end behind this purple egg. But this is your opportunity to decorate your Easter eggs however you want. Okay, this one has like a zigzag chevron shape right down the center. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. Right here, and then just fill it in because this is going to be turquoise. And again, it would very much compete with the purple if I tried to just put it right in. So we're going to put it in white first and then let it dry, and then we'll go back with our colors. Before I wash my brush though, I'm going to come over to my dots again because they look dry already, and I'm going to put that second layer of white on them. I really want them to stand out. They're the only white design, the only design that will stay white in my eggs here. Oh, looking so fun. Okay, wash that out. All right, I think we're ready to dive into our background, okay? I chose a really light yellow for my background. I'm gonna go back to my flat brush, scoop up a generous amount of white, maybe a couple scoops, come and mix it. This yellow that I'm using, it's a chrome yellow, and it is bright, so I am going to tone it down quite a bit. And as soon as I have that, I'm just going to begin to fill in my background. Okay, obviously when we get close to our subject, we want to slow down. We just did so much work on our gnome, so we definitely don't want to ruin that. So slow down as you get close to it. And it's a little tricky. There's definitely some small spaces to get into, but you can see that this flat brush will do all of that. I just have to maneuver it from the toe to the flat. Okay, we'll come over here, same thing. See how I just scoop that paint on there. People ask me all the time, why isn't my canvas filling? You know, we've got those little grooves on our canvas, and we can't seem to fill that with our paint? Well, it's probably that you're not loading your brush enough, or that your brush or your paint, rather, needs a little bit of water. So check those two things as you're painting, and it will make all the difference for you if your paint is loose and your brush is loaded properly. Okay, look at this. I told you it was super bright. So what I like to do is come in before it dries with just some white, and I like to take that white and blend it around my gnome, the areas closest to my gnome. It kind of calms down the crazy brightness of it, but it also gives my background some fun dimension. It's not so flat, and I like that. You don't want to lose the bright yellow, so you don't want to cover it all up, but coming through and just kind of adding bits of light and then blending it in to your background will really complement well. This is so fun. I am excited for Easter painting this. It has all the spring feels to it. And what a cute decoration you can pull out for years to come. Okay, let's wash that out really good. I'm actually gonna come back to my designs here in my eggs. I'm gonna add another layer of white real quick before I go to my color. I just am feeling like it might need that. And you might feel the same, you might feel differently, but I feel like it just needs a little extra to ensure that when I come through with my color, that it's nice and bright and not competing with the color of the egg. Okay, so while that dries, before we do our color, let's go ahead and put in our gray around our beard and our bunny ears. Okay, so to do that, I need to make some gray. So I'm going to scoop up some white and add just a touch of black to it. You don't need much to get that gray color. You can tell some other yellows and stuff are getting in my paint, but with black it really isn't that big of a deal. Okay, so once I have my gray mixed, I'm going to wash my brush really, really well because I'm going to be going into my beard, and I'm going to be using white. I'm going to put a little bit of white on my plate here. That's clean. Okay, so I'm not going to paint my beard or my bunny ears white because my canvas is white. If you want to do that, that's fine. Maybe you're dealing with an off-white color, and that's fine, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to load my brush with white paint, and then I'm going to dip the edge into that gray, and then I'm going to take my gray edge and I'm going to go all the way around my gnome's beard. Okay, so pretty simple. You can see there's a generous amount of water in my brush. That is super important for this because the water is going to help it glide on your canvas nice and smoothly. When you get to this little curl, go up it as best you can, but don't worry too much about it because we're going to come back to it. So That side is already finished. That's how quickly this goes in. Come to this side. And just do the same thing. Again, we're going to come through and clean up our edges. So we're just focused on getting a nice shadow in, but understanding that it's not going to be perfection right now, right? Any areas that you feel like got too dark for your liking, just go back with some white. Okay, so our beard is nice and needs more water. Beard is nice and shadowed in there. I like to do just the tiniest bit on the bottom of my eggs, just for fun. Okay, let's go up into our ears and do the same thing. We're going to follow the inner edge. If we get too much, we're going to load with white and we're going to tone it down. Got too much of everything in my brush here. Some water. Fingers are a great tool. I use my fingers all the time. There we go. Okay, in there a little bit. So it's just working with your paint until you get the result that you want. So don't be afraid to work back and forth with your grays and your whites until you get what you're going for. This ear's my favorite because it's kind of flopped over, and I just think that that's super cute. So you're going to carry that shadow right up and around your canvas. And then we'll take this one down either side here. Again, filling like I need to lighten it a little bit. So fun. So fun. Okay. I'm gonna stick with my flat brush here and I'm gonna come into my turquoise chevron shape inside of my purple egg. And I'm gonna do it with this flat brush because I want to add a bit of shading to this and it'll make more sense for me to do it with this larger brush. You can leave your egg just like this. You don't have to add some of that darker turquoise. I just like to do it. Okay, so again, this is one of those times where it really just depends on the age of the artist who is creating this piece and their attention span and what they want to do. So it doesn't have to be all the things if you don't want it to be. Okay, now I will switch to my smaller brush and my really fun yellow to go ahead and put in these stripes on my turquoise egg. Look at these colors just coming together. They all show up at different points in time on our painting, and I love that. I love that we are just taking these three colors and we're just having a good time with them. Okay, let's let that dry. We're gonna just clean up a bit and then we are going to add some glitter and sign our name. I'm going to take my tiny brush and I'm going to put it in that gray that I made. And all I really want to do is come along the edges of anything that I painted gray, and I want to define those just a little bit because there's so much happening with color on this painting. This is a good way to just kind of showcase these specific areas of our painting. So I'm just going to do that. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but this is a step that a smaller artist might omit from their painting. All right, I'm going to come down my beard. And as I do my next stroke, I'm going to come in a bit, just like that, just to kind of help it a little bit. This is where we're going to really focus in on that curl that's happening on the end of our beard here. Cute little curl. Okay, and then we'll come down around by our colorful shoes, and then this side as well. That's why I was telling you, don't stress too much about clean lines here, because we will go back. We will add, we will clean up. There's always an opportunity to clean something up. Okay, this looks so fun. I'm gonna grab some glitter glaze. I don't have it on my plate yet, so I'm gonna find a spot for it. So this is my glitter glaze right here. It doesn't look like it'll be clear, but it will. And what we're gonna do is we're just going to pick different parts of our gnome that we want to glitter. I always tell people before they use glitter, don't glitter everything. When the light hits it, it'll be super overwhelming. So pick the things that you want to glitter and make sure those are dry before you glitter, okay? So I am going to glitter the polka dots on my hat, because why not? And those are definitely dry. As you can see, it just kind of goes on there. Sometimes you might think, I'm also going to do the end of my hat here, the pom-pom circles. You might think that it's going to tamper with the brightness of your painting, but it won't. The other thing I'm going to glitter are the inside of the ears. I just thought that was a fun thing to do. Okay, I'm going to glitter my background. Don't get me wrong, we are glittering a lot of things, but we are going to keep the gnome, his hands and his face. Well, I guess we don't have a face, but his hands and his nose and his beard, we are not going to paint with glitter. Up in here, I like to do the shoes. Why not? I'm going to do the shoes too. And then if my eggs are dry, I'm going to glitter the eggs. Now you might choose to just glitter the design in your eggs. You know, maybe you just do the dots and the chevron. I'm going to glitter the entire egg. I don't think there's a painting out there that says spring better than this gnome does. Let's sign our name. I'm going to do that in turquoise. Why not? I love turquoise. Come down here. Sign our painting. That's such an important step because it means you're proud of your work and you're owning it. Thank you so much for painting with me. I would love to see your gnomes. I would love to see how you decorated your Easter eggs. So send me your pictures or tag us on social media. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed painting with me, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We drop brand new free tutorials weekly on our YouTube channel. Have a great day, guys.